Welcome to Scotland's biggest parents' evening. This event is being held as part of Scottish Apprenticeship Week. This year's theme is Skills for the Future, and over 600 events are taking place across the country this week to show how important it is to invest in our workforce by giving young people the skills and experience they need to succeed. Show how apprenticeships help achieve... Sorry, I can't speak. How apprenticeships help achieve this, and how to inspire young people, their families and teachers as to the best way to prepare them for the career of their dreams. Just think of the buzz we're creating across the country right now, all talking about the same thing. We're really part of something big and exciting going on here tonight. I'm the manager for developing the young workforce Dundee and Angus. It's our job to help employers and education to work together. We're one of 22 regional groups throughout Scotland who aim to give young people the skills and experience they need to move from education to employment. We encourage work-related activity to be included on the curriculum and facilitate joint working with local businesses, building this into long-standing sustainable relationships. Our ultimate aim is to have an area where young people are coming out of school ready to meet the needs of local employers. We also help grow work-based learning experiences like apprenticeships, and that's why we're all here this evening. These Parents' Evening events are taking place all over the country this week to help you understand what apprenticeships are, how they work, and what a huge benefit they can be for young people. There are now 3 different levels in the apprenticeship family: foundation apprenticeships, modern apprenticeships and graduate apprenticeships. And you'll hear a lot more about them just in a minute with our first panel of speakers, where we'll have Grant Walker of Dundee and Angus College, my colleague from DYW, Alison Rowan-McEwen, and Dr Karen Petrie of the University of Dundee. This will be followed by 2 case studies from local businesses, telling us why their company invests in apprenticeships. We've established a fantastic ambassador programme with our apprentices, and how better to hear about the value of apprenticeships than from the apprentices themselves. I'm delighted we've got a group of them here tonight to share their experiences with you. They're here to answer any questions you might have, so please do contribute to the discussion by asking them anything you want to know. You can do this by commenting in the comment section on our YouTube channel, or you can email us as well at dywda.co.uk. I'd mentioned there that this event is being live streamed on YouTube, so a big hello to anyone that's watching at home. This is being streamed live, but it'll also be available after the event. So if you are watching in the future, tell everyone you know to go and watch this and how great it was. So enough from me. I'll now hand you over to our panel to tell you more about the apprenticeship family.
Yeah. Hi guys, my name is Grant and I'm from Dundee and Angus College, and I'm obviously here to talk to you guys today about foundation apprenticeships. But before I start, can I just show of hands, how many of you before today had actually heard of the foundation apprenticeship? Okay, so a good few of you guys. Well, hopefully after today you'll have a better understanding of what they are and what they can do for young people. So why and what is a foundation apprenticeship? Well, a foundation apprenticeship is something that students can choose as part of their senior phase course choice. So they would choose it alongside the rest of their hires in 5th and 6th year. It counts, or is the same level as a hire, so it's an SVQ level 6, but they will have time out of school at college and with a local employer. So they'll be getting that real valuable work experience as well as the experience of being outside of school. Now, these are some of the subject areas that we offer foundation apprenticeships in. Now, I'm sure all of you could look at the kind of what we have on offer here and think that one of the 2 of those things would be something that you'd be interested in. And the great thing about these for the young people is that they can actually have a taste of what they are. So let's say, for instance, they wanted to do accountancy, or they were interested in doing accountancy and they wanted to have a wee taste of it, then they could do that with their foundation apprenticeship and they'd still get their hire or their SVQ level 6 at the end of it. But that doesn't mean that they have to go on and do accountancy at college, university, or in an MA or in work afterwards, but it does give them the option to do so. Now, the good thing about all of these subject areas is that they're all kind of predicted to be growth areas in Dundee and Angus. So obviously, once the young person has completed their foundation apprenticeship, and then whatever they've gone on to do after that, it would be our hope that these are the kind of the industries that will still be growing and that they'll be able to get employment through. So let's say you wanted to use your foundation apprenticeship after you'd completed it. If you wanted to go to college or university, you could do so. Like again, like I said, it counts as the same level as a higher, so they can use it to go on to university. They can either use it to go into college. Now, foundation apprentices are actually guaranteed a place on the HNC or a relevant HNC at Dundee Angus College on completion, or they can use it as a stepping stone to go on to a modern apprenticeship. But again, the whole point of a foundation apprenticeship is that they get that valuable work experience. So again, making them more employable. So if they didn't want to do any of those things and just wanted to go straight into the workplace on completion of their foundation apprenticeship, they could do so as well. Now, this is a great slide because it kind of shows how the universities are really or fully embracing the foundation apprenticeship. Now, let's say, for instance, you were to do a foundation apprenticeship in accountancy, and then you were to go to Abertay, Robert Gordon, or the University of the Highlands and Islands. They would recognise you having done a foundation apprenticeship in accountancy and then going on to do the same thing at the university as having 2 hires at B level. Whereas if you went to all of the other universities in Scotland, you would get 1 hire at A level. Now, let's say, for instance, you wanted to do accountancy, but once you'd done your foundation apprenticeship in accountancy, you didn't like accountancy and you wanted to do something different. You wanted to go and do history at, let's say, the University of Dundee or wherever. They would recognise you as having 1 hire at B level. So you can really see how the universities are embracing the foundation apprenticeship. So again, if you do the same subject at Abertay, Robert Gordon and the University of Highlands and Islands, you'll get 2 hires at B level for the same subject as your FA. If it's anything else, any other university with the same subject, it's 1A, and then everyone else is the 1B for something that's different. So just to kind of go through some of the soft skills with you guys. Now, obviously the whole point of doing a foundation apprenticeship is that the young people can become a little bit more employable on completion. Now, obviously they can gain a lot of these soft skills through extracurriculars at school, but obviously having gained them in the workplace can be a little bit more beneficial for them on their CV and at interview because it gives them a little bit more to talk about. But I just want to pick out one in particular, which is self-confidence. Now, I had 2 foundation apprentices come and speak to me before they started their foundation apprenticeship. They wouldn't look me in the eye when they spoke to me. They had no self-confidence, they were very, very shy. However, upon completion of their foundation apprenticeship, they were able to come and give a presentation much like this today. So you could really see their growth and how that had kind of manifested through throughout their foundation apprenticeship. Because obviously a lot of high school children are a little bit nervous. They don't have the self-confidence. However, you could really see that from being in the college environment, then going on to the workplace environment, that their self-confidence had grown and they had developed. So again, like the universities, you can kind of see some of the big name employers in Dundee and Angus that have fully embraced and taken on the foundation apprenticeship. I'm sure all of you have heard of NHS Tayside, Thorntons, DC Thomson, GlaxoSmithKline. However, that's not to say if they take a foundation apprenticeship that they're going to end up at one of these bigger name companies. However, they might end up at a more local company. It purely depends on what the young person chooses and obviously what they have on offer. So let's say they do health and social care. Yes, they might end up at NHS Tayside, but then again, they might end up at a more local employer. So this is just to kind of show you the bigger name companies that are embracing it and taking it on board. Like the universities, they are completely embracing the foundation apprenticeship, but obviously it's local employers as well as these big name employers that really help us with the foundation apprentices. So just to summarise for you guys, a foundation apprenticeship usually starts in S5, so they'll choose it in S4 with their course choices. It takes up to 2 years to complete. There is a 1-year option for them to take as well. So let's say they wanted to take it in 5th year, they could do the 1-year option in 6th year to take that to complete. It counts as one of your subject choices. They are not applying to college. This runs in conjunction and alongside the rest of their hires, so they're not applying to college. It's the same level as a hire, SVQ level 6, as is shown, and how the universities are fully embracing that. And again, one of the main points is that they spend time out of school at college and with a local employer to get that experience. Now, it's not up there, but I just want to say that typically we're going to look for students to have Nat 5 English and Maths. However, if they don't have Nat 5 English and Maths, all is not lost. We will look at some of their other subjects as well as the extracurriculars that they have in regards to determining whether they'd be able or eligible for a foundation apprenticeship. So if you wanted to do something and you didn't have Nat 5 English or Nat 5 Maths, we would look at your other subjects and kind of make a determination on that. And I think that is me, and this is how, if you'd like to get any information or more information on the foundation apprenticeship, that is our information there. But thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Alison from Developing the Young Workforce, Dundee and Angus, and I am here today to talk about modern apprenticeships. Now, modern apprenticeships are most likely, if you know anything about apprenticeships, what you'll think of when you hear this word. They've been around the longest. They have a very strong tradition in some subject areas. For example, plumbing, joiner, painter and decorators. And when I say a long tradition, I mean a very, very long tradition. But these days, it's much wider than that. Effectively, they're designed for anybody who's over the age of 16. Typically, it does tend to be younger people, but that is not a definite. You can be quite a bit older and do a modern apprenticeship, just less funding for the company. There are around 80 different pathways available. And by pathways, I mean different types of modern apprenticeship available to you. So there are a lot out there on offer. That can include things such as learning skills about electrical installation, facility services and management, aquaculture, fashion, plumbing, procurement, accounting, the list goes on and on and on. There are lots of options out there. Basically, when you start a modern apprenticeship, effectively what you're doing is earning while you are learning. You're getting some core skills that are very relevant. You're getting industry-specific training, and at the end of your training period, you come out with a qualification in the subject that you have chosen. What is very important about them is their work-based learning. So how the structure of that does change. Sometimes you can do it a couple of years in college and then you go out to work for an employer. Sometimes the entire course that you do is based in the workplace and you get a tutor who will support you through your learning. Other times there's a bit of a mixture. And because each of the different frameworks are created to meet the needs of that industry, it means that the frameworks in themselves are slightly different, and some of them are only a year long, others can be up to 4 years long. So it's a very varied and open approach to doing this, but the essence is that you will learn while you're working and you will earn something while you're working, and it will meet the needs that your industry has decided that it needs for that role and for that job. And as you can see, there are lots of different core areas that are involved in this that are vital to our economy. So some key facts about them. At the moment, there's already more than 37,000 young people learning this way. So it is a very viable option. It is a well-trod path. Lots of people are doing it. For the MAs that are doing it, SDS did some research, and 76% are more enthusiastic about learning, 81% say they are now more confident as a result, and 74% feel that they have better long-term prospects in their career. Not necessarily with the company that they did the modern apprenticeship with, although that is a possibility. Sometimes you may do modern apprenticeship and then go and work for another company. It's also not just a male orientated qualification. There are 36% of MAs who are female. So this very traditional image of your plumber or your joiner is still relevant, but it is by no means the only option available to you if you want to do an apprenticeship. There are lots of different options out there. So how do you find out about the modern apprenticeships? Well, if you're still in school or just about to leave school, I would advise that you speak to your school careers advisor. They're an excellent resource for this. If you're in school or if it's after school, you can visit a Skills Development Scotland office near you, and they can give you lots of advice on what's available. You can check out the website that they manage called www.apprenticeships.scot, of which you will hear more about later. You can contact a modern apprenticeship training provider directly. So there are lots of them around. Some of them specialise in certain industries. Locally, Dundee and Angus College is quite a big provider of the modern apprenticeship, but there are a lot more out there. For example, you have the Angus Training Group, you have Rathbone. If you're not sure where to find the MA training providers, again, Skills Development Scotland are an excellent starting point. You can look for local job adverts. So, as with any job, most employers will promote the open opportunities they have. Some of the bigger employers like NHS Tayside, GSK locally, some of the, say, construction type industry apprenticeships, they tend to start putting out adverts for positions round about now, so when it works with when the pupils are starting to leave school. So the idea is once they've left school, they'll be starting their apprenticeship. So have a look out for that, but it can come, the opportunities can come around all year. Or you can be very proactive and you can contact local companies and see if it's something that they offer, or look at their website. If there's someone that you think you would like to work for, then it's always good to be proactive. You can also follow Developing Young Workforce Dundee and Angus on social media. If we hear of any opportunities, we will post them out over social media. A lot of our companies that we work with let us know when they're looking for positions, and we do as much as we can to help them fill those positions. So where does the modern apprenticeship lead? What can you do with it? Well, it's a great start for a progress in any career, because you're doing work-based learning, you're getting the technical knowledge that you need for your industry, but you're also learning the soft skills in much the same way that the Foundation Apprenticeship does. These soft skills are increasingly important to employers, and as an employment liaison officer or advisor, the one thing I hear constantly is we can teach the young people how to do the job, but we need them to have the soft skills. We need them to have the time management. We need them to have the confidence to actually ask questions and speak to us. We need them to be able to be presentable to customers. We need them not to be constantly on their mobile phones. The whole host of social skills and soft skills that are vital to a good employee. Something like this where you're learning on the job is a very good starting point to get those skills, because you will learn them soon enough, because you're getting paid to be there to learn, so your employers will very subtly tell you when your behaviour is maybe not quite what they're looking for. It is very positive. 91% that are in work have gone on to either more work or further education as a result of their modern apprenticeship. Up to about 3/4, latest figures are kept on by the employer that they did the modern apprenticeship with. And 4 out of 5 have already seen at least one form of career progression, whether that's a higher pay or whether it's doing a job with more responsibilities. And also you can use the modern apprenticeship to help you gain accelerated entry to some graduate apprenticeships in a related subject, of which I'm sure Karen will tell you more about in just a second. But the message to take home is that apprenticeships are a real and positive career pathway for your child. It's up to you and your child to see if that is what you want to do, but please do consider it for your future, because it can be a real positive benefit for you. Okay. Thank you. Just move on to Karen.
Hi, I'm Karen. I am the Associate Dean for Learning and Teaching in the School of Science and Engineering at the University of Dundee. which is a ridiculously long job title that I can tell you now does not fit in a business card. So I don't know who came up with it, but it doesn't work. So part of my role is to lead on our graduate apprenticeships within the university, and I'm delighted to be here tonight to tell you a little bit more about those. So what is a graduate apprenticeship? Well, it's what we call a work-based learning programme that leads to a full degree level qualification, and that's an honours degree level qualification. It takes 4 years, so it takes exactly the same amount of time as it would take if you came to university and did the traditional degree route. And what you do is you come to university 1 day a week and you work for the other 4 days a week. We do graduate apprenticeships in several areas. IT management for business. I think this is a really great one actually, because every single business at the moment needs IT to be successful, and that's just going to grow. So this is a real area to get in at the start. IT software development was a really growth area in our region, especially with the games companies and so forth. Engineering, design and manufacturing, which is really what it says on the tin. It's about learning how to engineer, learning how to do the designs that are engineered, and also learning how to manufacture the product. So I think about this as full cycle product design. We've got business management, which is all about how to manage businesses, and this can be anything from a junior person starting in a business, we've got some people like that, right through to entrepreneurs who've actually started their own companies. So it's a really broad qualification. The last one is civil engineering. I think most of our civil engineers are actually winding the A9. That seems to be the biggest route for employment for them, but it's civil engineering. So they learn how to do all sorts of things, from widening roads to building bridges to making sure that everything is safe for us all. So how does it work? They spend 42 weeks in the university. So if you compare that to traditional semester, which is 2 11 weeks, it is a lot longer. And that's how we can put it in 4 years and still just have it as 1 day a week. They get 2 weeks holiday at Christmas, 2 weeks holiday at Easter, and 6 weeks holiday in the summer. It may be that their employer is not quite that generous and doesn't give them quite that much annual leave, but we ask the employers to give them annual leave during those time periods. Why do we do it this way? Well, we really believe that some element of campus-based learning is really important for peer support. Our graduate apprenticeships are friends with each other. They help each other out. They go to lunch together all the time. And I think that is a really part of the experience. So they're still getting a bit of that student experience whilst they're being this graduate apprentice. If you want to apply, the only way to do it is through an employer. So you need to find a job, and then you can apply through that employer. If you go to apprenticeships.scot, there are currently some vacancies for Dundee employers who are actively looking to recruit somebody for graduate apprenticeships within Dundee. So there are opportunities available. If there's not an opportunity available and you're really interested in this, then let us know. Because if employers talk to us and say, I'd like a graduate apprentice, but I can't find one, we definitely have paired people up. So I think it's a really good way to go. If you have any questions at all, then please just go to University of Dundee, and if you type graduate apprenticeships, you'll find us, and we're happy to answer any questions at any point. Thank you very much.
So, thank you very much to our first panel of speakers who've told you all about the different parts of the apprenticeship family and how it works. Before I introduce the next speakers, I'd just like to give a reminder to people watching our live stream on YouTube that if you do have any questions for our apprentice ambassadors that are coming up shortly, you can do so by just filling in the comments on the YouTube channel, or you can email us at contact@dywda.co.uk. Please get your questions in for these guys to answer just shortly. So now we're going to hear from a couple of employers who have taken on apprentices. So I'd like to welcome up to the platform here, first Kenny Craig from Interplex. They're a local electronics company, and he'll be followed by Irene Harrison from Caledonia Housing.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Kenny Craig, as it says up there. Interplex, I thought I'd give you a bit of background first, because a lot of people don't know much about Interplex and our growth in the world as well. Seen we're on YouTube tonight. Headquartered in Singapore, globally employing 13,000 people. Locations, we've got 30 sites based mainly in Far East America and Europe, and we have 14 countries. Well, we don't own 14 countries. We've got sites in 14 countries. Interplex PMP is quite unique in the UK as a facility. We are the only company that has progression stamping, electroplating and insert moulding under one roof. This gives us a distinct advantage over our competitors. We're in control of all the aspects of our processes that are required to produce components that our customers want. We do not rely on any subcontractors. Interplex PMP predominantly produces components for the automotive and electronic industry, primarily braking and steering systems. We also produce connectors for the broadband industry. If you drive a Renault, a Peugeot, Fiat or a VW, you will have a component that was manufactured in Arbroath. So why does Interplex invest in apprentices? It's an easy question to answer, really, for me. We simply cannot afford not to. The apprentices of PMP today are the toolmakers of tomorrow. You'll speak to Ross shortly. Toolmakers are in short supply globally. It is a very hard task to recruit a toolmaker nowadays. In the UK, we've actually employed toolmakers from Italy, Poland and India, and they don't stay very long, they move on. So it comes to the apprentice kind of side of things. We've struggled to retain their skills. With the ageing skill base, it's been vital that PMP maintains the apprentice programme in Arbroath. Interplex PMP celebrated its 50th anniversary last year in Arbroath, and I believe with investment that Interplex has made in its apprentice programme over the last 10 years and its continued commitment to recruiting apprentices every year, we are building a solid foundation for the next 50 years, hopefully. Interplex currently has 7 apprentices at various stages of their training. We also will be recruiting a further 2 over the summer, and on top of that, we have 8 qualified toolmakers under the age of 26 at present. So under a workforce that averages about 170 employees, we're heading towards almost 10% that came through our apprentice programme or coming through our apprentice programme. They all work in various areas during their apprenticeship, and once qualified will specialise in either progression stamping, mould tool making or automation, most of them working with cutting-edge technology. Why embark on an apprenticeship with Interplex PMP? That's easy for me. All our apprentices attend Angus training group for the first year, with off-site where they will learn a wide range of engineering skills. In the second year, they will join Interplex in earnest and begin to hone their skills towards an area of speciality, while also attending college on day release to attain an HNC or an HND in engineering, and some even going on to complete degrees with the graduate apprentice scheme. This is all fully funded, of course, so no student loans. No big bills at the end to pay. In fact, you get paid to do it. And that's, I think, so Interplex PMP is fully committed to the continuing apprentice programme as we continue to grow the business in Arbroath. In fact, we've been looking for 2 apprentices this year. So thanks for your time this evening, and that's from me.
Good evening. My name's Irene Harrison and I'm the HR manager for Caledonia Housing Association. It's possibly a company that not many of you have heard of. We're what's called a social registered landlord, and we provide housing, rented accommodation for people in need. So we're based around Dundee, Angus, Fife, Perthshire, currently also Western Bartonshire and Eastern Bartonshire. We're a growing company. We've got over 200 employees, which I think, again, people might not be aware of that. And of those employees, over the past few years, we've taken on quite a lot of apprentices. For our company, it's just really important that we invest in young people. As a company, we have a bit of an ageing workforce. I think that's quite common. Kenny's just referred to that. So it helps to bring younger people in. But also, I think one of the key advantages for us of bringing younger people in is just all of our employees have learned so much from that. So if I just refer to some of my notes, I'll be able to tell you a wee bit more about that. I think one of the key things, I was trying to think of it in terms of advantages for the apprentices, and certainly the ex-apprentices that we've had with us, what they've told me. So the key thing is being able to learn whilst working and earning. I think that's obviously a key advantage. I think one of the other aspects is in an organisation like ours, I think when you hear the title, you don't know the types of roles that are available within that. So in our company, we have things like tenancy and neighbourhood management, housing maintenance, jobs that are involved in actually the building of houses, finance, human resources, general business support and administration. And a lot of the services that we offer also have social care type posts, so things like cooks in a sheltered housing scheme, a scheme manager, or a home help. So a vast variety of roles that you wouldn't normally even think about, I don't think, if you thought about what does a housing association do. I think one of the other key aspects is that it really helps the apprentices to decide whether they want to pursue further education. It could be that when they start work, it's maybe a consideration, but it doesn't feel like the right time for them. But once they've been at work for a while, learning some new skills, it can build their confidence to actually go on and continue into further education as well. And it's just basically setting them up for a further career, or it can help them to actually define what they think their career might be. Obviously, one of the key aspects for the individuals too is that they can gain a recognised qualification, and I think that's a really solid base for them to go and use in other organisations. What we offered was business administration, and that was just the type of role that was easy for us to be able to support, particularly with the other roles that we have. And the other aspect for us is just the nature of what we do. We're able to allow the apprentices to work across the business. So when they come in, we develop a programme where they just work in lots of different departments for a short period of time, and then they can decide, is there something particularly that they like better than other things? And then we try to build on that for them. So we're not too prescriptive about it initially and just allow things to develop based on the individuals. In terms of what it brings for our business, though, obviously it brings new skills, new perspectives. For me, who's maybe just slightly older than an apprentice, you get set in your ways. So it's really great having new ways of thinking, or somebody questioning you, why do you do things that way? Have you thought about doing things this way? So I think that's a really positive thing for us. It's one of the things that my colleagues have told me is that they have loved being able to provide mentoring to young people that come into the business under apprenticeship schemes. So it gives some of our existing staff a real sense of worth to be able to help develop the young people and, as I said, be a little bit of a mentor for them and watch their growth as well. It creates a real sense of pride in seeing that growth and seeing them gain their qualifications, and then potentially moving on to other things or staying with us. As I say, I think for us it's really just got a very, very positive impact. It allows the apprentices to prepare for the general world of work. I think what some other speakers have spoken about in terms of these soft skills, they are really vitally important. And we have had apprentices in the past where there maybe have been some issues around timekeeping or something like that, but it's just you can just very gently teach those more social soft skills and gradually see how things change. And I think for me, one of the most important things is, and the thing that gives me particular pride, is just the growth in confidence of the apprentices. I mean, I think for me, what I would say is that, yes, maybe initially, in the first few weeks, they're possibly seen as modern apprentices, but then very, very quickly they are just one of the team. That just happens to be their job title. There's nothing really different. So I think that's a huge thing. We work with a more local training company that provides the qualification aspect of it, and that works really well. So they're getting support from that training company as well, who would come in and support them with their the sort of academic qualification aspect of it. Just to round off, if I can just share with you some of our more recent success stories. In the last couple of years, we took on 3 apprentices all at the same time. That's kind of unusual for us. Normally we would maybe just take on 1 at a time, but this time round we took on 3, and they're now finished their apprenticeships, but 2 are currently now working in other roles, one in the HR department and Rebecca is looking to now commence a professional qualification within the human resources field. So she started about 2.5 years ago, went through her apprenticeship, and then has got to that level where she's now looking at a professional qualification. She didn't know that that's what she wanted to do when she started, but through time and just the way that we worked, she was able to see that. And then another person, Ellie, who is working as a finance assistant, and she started in the same way, but now she's doing a professional accounting qualification. And then Rory, who he finished his apprenticeship, he wanted to work more in the housing field, and then he has actually moved on to a permanent position in another company. So I think it just hopefully show what the progression can be from that starting point of a modern apprentice, and then coming in, learning all those skills, and just building that solid foundation to be able to move on into your career. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Kenny and Irene for giving us that great insight into how apprentices can help the businesses and what the businesses themselves get out of that relationship. Now, it's time to hear from the apprentices themselves. So if I can ask all our apprenticeship ambassadors to come up on the stage and have a seat here. And my colleague Alison's coming back up as well to help through the questions and answers. So I will pass you on to Alison.
Okay, so you've heard the official line, you've heard the employer line. Now let's talk to the people who actually do this day in, day out. We have some apprentices here. If you look at their names on the slide, you will see that they come from a wide background of apprenticeships. We have some modern apprenticeships, some graduate. There's a range of different specialities, from digital marketing, engineering, design and manufacture, we have tool makers, and we have someone from hospitality, someone from IT management. And there are also quite a few different organisations. I'm sure if you come from the local area, you will recognise many of the employer names there. But I think the important point is it's a very widespread. So, we will start with some questions to find out what you think. And if anyone from the audience has any questions, just put your hand up and we will ask those. Just so that you can hear it in the live feed, I will repeat whatever gets asked. And if we have any from the live feed or from the contact at dywda.co.uk, then I'll also read those out for you. So, we will start with, how did you get into your apprenticeship and how did the application process work? And we'll maybe start that with Megan.
So I started my apprenticeship back in 2 years ago, and my apprenticeship works with the way that I develop in each department. So I'm at Apex, so I started in housekeeping, and now I've done restaurant and bar, and I'm currently in the kitchen, and I move on to reception. So I get a qualification and everything, and it takes 2 years, but the third year is an optional supervisor level.
Okay, and Jill, what about how did you do application?
I've been employed by the university for some time, and as the university started this degree programme, our department put out applications for people to apply to join the programme. So okay. It was an internal thing, but on an interview basis. So yeah.
Okay. What about yourself, Ross? How did you find out about the apprenticeship?
I applied for the Angus training group. They came into our school to do a presentation. That's how I knew about it. I applied for them, and then they basically find you an employer for themselves.
Okay. And maybe Matthew, just as a...
So I decided at the end of 6th year that I didn't want to go to uni like the rest of my friends, so I just started looking around for some positions and found the one with Dundee City Council, and it was just like a normal job interview, went through all the interview process and here I am today doing digital marketing with communications.
Excellent. And how about you, Joe? I see you've done 2 separate apprenticeships, so what was your experience?
So I left school in 5th year and actually wanted to go along a career path in nursing. Decided it wasn't for me and was advised to look at a modern apprenticeship. So started with GE Oil and Gas, went through the training group but applied to both the training group and GE, was successful in a modern apprenticeship. And then I decided I wanted to progress and do a graduate apprenticeship. So I seen that the Halliburton were advertising for a graduate apprenticeship, applied for that and was successful. And throughout my modern apprenticeship, I gained a HND. I was then able to progress in the 2nd year of the graduate apprenticeship scheme at the University of Dundee.
Okay, do we have any questions from the audience? No? Okay. Then how does your training work? Maybe start with yourself, Matthew.
So my training is done through Dundee and Angus College. I'm out of the workplace 1 day a week to attend a digital marketing class, and my assessor comes out periodically to just go over different tasks that I do while I'm in work. So I get a set time in my workplace to actually complete these tasks that are set by the college to go with the qualification.
Okay. Megan, you mentioned a little bit in your previous answer, but are you completely work-based learning, or do you do time in the college or another
all
training
work-based
provider?
learning, yeah. All work-based learning provided by the hotel, with also a company called Training Matters that come out once every 6 months to see us all and see how we're doing and give us optional tasks and stuff as well.
Okay. Joe?
I work in my day job 4 days a week, and then at the university 1 day a week as a student. So.
Okay. And Joe?
I'm much the same as Jill. I've got a full-time job that I go 4 days a week and then the 1 day at university, so they all kind of tie in together.
Ross, you mentioned you got your position through the Angus training group, so they're a training provider for modern apprenticeships. How is that different from what's been mentioned?
I suppose it's because the first year you go there 5 days a week, you're never at your employer, you learn your basic skills, and then, like it was Kenny that mentioned, after that you go to your company where it's more focused on specialised training to what they want, so you're going with the background of the basic skills, and then they refine it to what they want from you.
Okay, so quite a nice different range. And what sort of skills and experience do you think you've gained from doing your apprenticeship? And I'll open this up to whoever wants to answer.
I think it's the underpinning knowledge behind the practice. So I was already in working in my role and working in IT, but it's the underpinning knowledge as to why and the theory behind it, and more the good practice, let's say.
Okay. Anyone else?
Probably self-confidence, because even 5 years ago I would never be up here, but now I can do it, no bother.
That's good for us. Anyone else? No?
I'm probably much the same as Ross.
Okay.
My confidence within, even since starting the graduate apprenticeship, and then I feel like I'm a totally different person from when I started my modern apprenticeship, which I was so shy when I left school, wouldn't have wanted to present, wouldn't have wanted to host meetings, would have probably been scared to go and speak to people, so it's really helped you develop.
Good. Is there any questions from the internet?
We've got one from Samantha, and she's asking, what was your experience like at school?
Who wants to start with that one? Okay, yeah, that's right, sorry. The question was, what was your experience in school like? Maybe start with you, Matthew?
So my experience in school was quite good. I was the charities captain of in 6th year of charities committee in school, so that was a lot of event planning and media and whatnot, which coincidentally is what I now do in the council. So yeah.
Okay, so positive. So it's not always a bad experience that leads you to do an apprenticeship. Okay. Anyone else? Would you like to share your school experience?
Clearly it was a few years ago for myself, but financially I couldn't afford to go to university, and started working straight away, straight out of school, and progressed through a career path there, but it's the underpinning knowledge behind it, I think.
I stayed on till 6th year, and I think having been in education for so long, it was just needing something different and knowing that I'm still getting education but enjoying myself as well at the same time. I loved school, but I just needed that break from it.
Fair enough. Okay, any other questions from the audience?
So Zoe has sent an email to the Shred box asking what skills and experience have you gained from your apprenticeship?
Okay, so that's Zoe. So what skills and experience? So we've talked a bit about some of the softer skills, but what hard technical skills have you learnt from your apprenticeship? We'll start with Ross on the far end.
I suppose I've learned engineering skills. I've learned to work on my own. I'm on a shift pattern where I am on my own all weekend. Support is always there if I need it, but basically I'm on my own and I do have to use my initiative at all times.
Okay. Matthew?
So I think I've developed my skills in using social media professionally and communicating a message to a specific audience. So as a council, it's got to be a professional message we convey at all times. And I think being in post in the department I'm in has helped me to basically develop that knowledge of professional speaking as well.
Okay. So in the role that you do, what does your normal day or week look like? What sort of tasks and activities would you do as part of your normal job? And maybe start with Megan, because you've done quite a few different areas in your role.
So yeah, just now currently I'm in the kitchen. I'm currently a pastry chef, so my day to day would be like going in and I'd have to look how busy my afternoon is. I'd have to prep my afternoon, prep for dinner service, just make sure everything's topped up. And then you're always going to have some sort of dietary requirements. So it's kind of knowing what and keeping everything. You have to always go in with a different mind and knowing that no day's going to be the same.
Okay. What about yourself, Joe? What do you do on a day-to-day basis?
I think my day-to-day can vary depending on what projects we've got going on. Although my role is seen as being office-based, I do spend a lot of time down on the shop floor, whether that's actually carrying out activities or speaking to the shop floor employees. So I see kind of a mix right throughout the organisation.
Okay. What about yourself, Joe?
I'm a service delivery manager in the IT department, so we look after the delivery of the IT services to the university, both the students and the staff, and managing that and a team to deliver that.
Okay. Is there any more questions from the audience?
We've got one here asking how easy was it to get your apprenticeship?
Okay, that was how easy was it for you to get your apprenticeship? So maybe start, Matthew.
I would say that it was like getting a job. If you've got the qualifications and if you've got the motivation to want it, then it's good. It's easy enough to get. But you have to want to do what you want to. What am I trying to say? You have to want to do the actual subject of the modern apprenticeship to get through.
Okay, Megan?
I had to, so I was in work experience at my, during 6 years, so I worked one day a week, one afternoon a week at the Apex hotels, and then I kind of had to apply like a normal job it was. It was still an interview, a group interview, and then you still went through it was difficult, but it was also my first proper big interview, so it was quite exciting in a way, but you had to work hard for it.
Okay. Jim?
The university did internal applications, so they were quite sought after for the places, yes.
Okay. What about yourself, Joe?
I'd say it's easy if you've done your homework, like being prepared, like any job interview, kind of knowing what they're going to ask you, doing your research on the company, and then, like Matthew said, if you're determined that you want it, then I'd say that's a good stepping stone.
Okay. How about yourself, Ross?
Yeah, I think it was quite easy, especially in this area. There is a lot of engineering companies in the area, so it is relatively easy to get a job if you put your mind to it and you do your homework on the companies there.
Okay, good. Okay, I think if there's any other questions from the audience? Oh, no, we haven't yet.
Yeah, so if you could go back and talk to yourself before you started your apprenticeship, what would you say to yourself?
Okay, that, just to repeat, that was if you go back and talk to yourself before you started your apprenticeship, what would you say to yourself? We'll start at the other end, Ross.
Probably push myself more into what I'm doing. I was quite laid back, not laid back, but I don't know the word I'm looking for. I wouldn't do it, I would always be looking for help, I'd always be asking stupid questions instead of just going in and getting it done, and then asking questions when I needed it.
Okay, there is no such as a stupid question, but okay. Right. On you go, Joe.
I'm probably much the same. I feel like it maybe took me till third year to really push myself that bit further. I think with the kind of confidence, and then just being willing to reach out to people and ask the stupid questions. But yeah, I'd say just do it if you want to.
Okay. Joe?
It's incredibly hard work when you're holding a full-time job down, and I've got a family as well. But I wished I'd done it sooner, but I wish these opportunities were available then. As a parent as well, if my children took this route, they wouldn't come out with the same debt. They're employable because they've already been employed, but they've also got the qualifications. So there's two sides to this very much. And one is that they're workplace ready, because throughout the graduate apprenticeship and the other apprenticeships, you are in the workplace. So there's a huge difference between theoretically and actual practically.
Okay.
So yeah.
Megan?
Looking back, I think I would tell myself to have more confidence in things, and it's okay to ask for help. Like, everyone's there to help you. I came from just leaving school. I'm not going to know everything, so it's okay to ask for help and just to know that I'm going to make a mistake. It's okay.
Okay, and Matthew?
I think I'm much the same as everyone else. It's asking for that help, and everybody is there to be really supportive and really welcoming. So they're all professionals in their field, and they want to share that knowledge with you. So it's great.
Okay, so this might be a stupid question, but would you recommend an apprenticeship to other young people out there?
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. Excellent. Okay, well, thank you for that. Now we're going to hear from Skills Development Scotland. They're going to talk a little bit about Scottish Apprenticeship Week and some of the fantastic resources they have available to help young people find out what they want to do and about apprenticeships. So if we just swap on the stage. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Winnie Moody. I'm the team leader for Skills Development Scotland in Angus. And for those of you who don't know about Skills Development Scotland, we are the National Skills Agency for Scotland, and we are responsible for the apprenticeship family and obviously advertising it and working with it. I have a team of people who work in all the 8 schools throughout Angus. Our careers advisors are there to give people advice and guidance on all the work-based learning programmes, and we obviously promote our apprenticeship family to the young people who are thinking of leaving school or wanted to do a foundation apprenticeship, a modern apprenticeship, or a graduate apprenticeship. Yeah, it's a maze out there. You know, we've heard a lot tonight about different things, you know, all these apprenticeships. It's great to hear about it all, the different pathways out there, but sometimes knowing where to start can be an issue. And hopefully we're all here to help you to get through this maze. So don't panic, we're here to help, and we will help everybody the best we can. So help is at hand, so just relax about it and we'll take you through the journey. So choosing your subjects is really, really important. And as you've heard from other people, www.apprenticeship Scotland is where you should go. So hopefully this, it's not going to work for me, is it? Nope, it isn't. Sorry about that. they did get it in for me, but it isn't going to work. Sorry, I'll have to go back to the start. Oh. Sorry, I'm going through everybody else's presentation. I'll just talk to it. So WW Apprenticeship Scotland is where you go on it. So whether you're an employer looking to advertise your pathway, your vacancy, or a young person looking to decide what pathway for them, this is the website to choose, from ideas and information and choosing your subjects. There is a range of different pathways that we've heard about this evening. As we said, foundation apprenticeships, modern apprenticeships, and graduate apprenticeships. So they're all there for you, and you'll get all the information on that. So finding out about vacancies is really easy. A few people have mentioned it, and again, it is just going on the website to see the vacancies that are there. I did a little search earlier today, and in Angus today, earlier this week actually, when we did the presentation, there was 2 vacancies for apprenticeships with Angus Council, one being childcare, and there's a big demand for childcare in the sector, and one in admin. But before I came here tonight, I went back on the website and I checked again, and Baker Hughes and Montrose have put on that they're looking for 12 apprenticeships. So that's in welding, mechanical fitters, engineering and machining. So they've got a range of vacancies on. The applications are now live, so it's just a case of then going onto the website, and you could fill out the application from the website. So, you know, again, we keep saying this, but it's www.apprenticeshipscotland.org, and you'll get all the vacancies. There was actually over 800 vacancies on the site today, not all for Angus, obviously, but some for Dundee and other areas. And if you're willing to travel, there is a lot of vacancies there. So just have a look at it and see. You just actually have to put your postcode or your town or city that you live in, and it'll come up with the vacancies within your area, and it'll give you what there is there. Sorry about my presentation, folks. There is also 18 apprenticeships being offered in Dundee, and a number of them is with Arnold Clark. So again, if young people in Angus are willing to travel into Dundee, there are vacancies there as well. So, you know, there is a lot of vacancies out there, and it's just a case of applying for them. So the website also gives you general information about any questions that you might have. So you just have, there's frequently asked questions on the site, so you just have to go into it and click on, and it'll answer any questions that you have. Important numbers to remember are 91 and 96. 91 of apprentices still employed after 6 months of completing their modern apprenticeships. 96% of employers say former apprentices are better equipped to do their job than direct recruiting. So I think that says an awful lot for our modern apprenticeships. The employers are saying, you know, this is really, really good, and we will help you all we can. As I say, for school pupils, you have careers advisors in school. Every school in Angus has a careers advisor. So, you know, encourage your young person, your child, to go and meet with their careers advisor, and they'll give them a lot of help and advice. We have all the information there. If one thing you could pick up maybe on your way out tonight, there's a leaflet we've got, and it's called Apprenticeship in a Nutshell, and it gives you very great details of all the different apprenticeships and what's involved in all of them. So thank you for your time.
Okay, so there you have it. That's our guide to apprenticeships. We've heard from the people that organise the apprenticeships, from the businesses that take on apprentices, and possibly most importantly, from the apprentice ambassadors themselves. I just want to thank everyone for coming along this evening. I hope you've all gotten something from this. I think Winnie's stats there at the end there just speak for themselves. The 91% of people are still in work 6 months after their apprenticeship finishes. That's a really good statistic to have. And 96% of employers can really see the benefit of apprenticeships and realise that apprentices are better equipped for the world of work. So it's really something to consider if you're just about to leave school, or at any point in your career actually, as we've seen tonight from some of our apprentices. If you are in the room here in Arbroath, our panel of speakers will be around for a while longer if you want to ask them any questions. And for those of you watching at home through our YouTube channel, all the contacts are there to contact us if you have any other questions or want to find out more. Thank you.